Major League Baseball had some comments I thought were really interesting. I think they're taking the wrong approach to this. And that is, on Tuesday afternoon, a few general managers were talking about, because of the HIPAA laws, teams aren't able to publicly divulge the names of players who contract the virus unless the players do so themselves or give them permission. Excuse me. So as we heard, we've heard whether it's basketball players, whether it's football players, whether it's baseball players, we have heard names, we have learned of which specific players have become ill with the virus. And that's because the players themselves have gave the permission, outside of really Ezekiel, it seems like, had given permission to let those publicly know that they had the virus. And Brian Cashman, the Yankees general manager, was on a conference call Tuesday, and this is what he said. He was asked basically, what's the policy going to be? What's the protocol going to be? If a player gets sick, are you going to alert the media? Are you going to alert the other team? He said, quote, "The information I've been given is that the media will be left to try to figure that out. Somebody might be down and out, but we might not be able to speak to why, and it would be a speculating circumstance where you'd have to use your journalistic superpowers to determine if there's anything or not, what the circumstance might be." Essentially, long way of saying, we're not allowed to tell you publicly. If someone's out for 2 weeks, you don't see an injury pull, you don't see a muscle tear, you don't see them get hurt, you can put 2 and 2 together and say, oh, I wonder why they're out for 2 weeks and now they're back. Basically saying he's going to leave it up to the media to speculate, leave it up to the fans to put 2 and 2 together and say, yeah, this person has COVID. We can't officially say so. But this person's out. They've been out for 3, 4, 5 days. They seem fine. They're not with the team. They're not on the bench. They're still, if teams are traveling, still in the other city. They probably have the coronavirus. And the MLB also announced that they won't have a COVID-19 specific list. Meaning, Major League Baseball has, the injured list, formerly the designated, the DL. Where, a player gets hurt, pulls a muscle, they go on the 10-day injured list. Now, anyone with COVID, anyone with coronavirus, will be placed on that 10-day injured list. So there's no specific COVID-19. This is the list for all those players who will test positive. So to me, the MLB and any other sports league that wants to follow this sort of way of going about business, to me, is only hurting their ability to ensure that the players are safe and ensure that the season is finished, not just started. So I think absolutely, I understand, players may have to sign away their HIPAA rights just for this. But I think in this specific circumstance, when it comes to only dealing with coronavirus and coronavirus only, I think it is imperative and it is honestly a social right, a social duty for these teams and these players to announce who has coronavirus and who doesn't. There's a few different reasons why I feel this way. Number one, now more than ever, it's honestly a safety hazard to not disclose the information of who's sick or who's not. Right? During this pandemic, I feel like now the way you slow the spread, the way you try to prevent others from getting it, mitigating the virus spreading, is knowing who has it and knowing who doesn't. The more information we can gather, the better. So if we have a family member who unfortunately becomes ill with the virus, we know, okay, they have it. We probably shouldn't go over their house the next few weeks. Be extra cautious about seeing them for the next few weeks. So that's the best way, being alert, being aware who has it, who doesn't have it, is the best way to help contain the spread. Now, I'm sure if a player on the Yankees tests positive, Brian Cashman is going to tell the rest of the team, hey, so-and-so got sick with the coronavirus, heads up, stay away from him, he's not going to be here for the next 2 weeks. So it's not like the rest of the team will have to be left to kind of put the pieces there themselves. But I'm curious, because you're not forced to divulge this information, will the opponents be alerted to the test? Will Major League Baseball be alerted to the test? Because if the media, if it's almost going to be a gamesmanship sort of angle here where we can't officially tell someone or tell anyone that they have it or not, wouldn't that hurt the league's ability, hurt the team's ability to contact trace to see if an opponent maybe cross paths with this player and maybe has it? Is it, if there's no protocols and if you have to tell the other team or not, why would you? So to me, it sets a dangerous precedent. And it really honestly hurts the league in trying to finish the year more than it helps. Because now if you don't know who has it, who doesn't, it's a guessing game. If someone on the other team crosses paths with someone who's sick, gets sick themselves, spreads it to that team, all of a sudden now you have team or teams affected by one player getting sick, which is the last thing you want. So being forced to publicly disclose the test results will allow everyone to be on the same page, allow contact tracing to happen, to be able to find, which players could be affected, which players are not, isolate them. So that way you get ahead of it instead of kind of being reactive, giving tests after the fact, and then hoping that this player that doesn't have it, or if he does, didn't spread it already to his other teammates. So publicly disclosing, publicly putting it out there publicly that this player has it, to me at least helps ensure the league that they have a better chance of finishing the season. If it's going to be a secret, if it's going to be this sort of guessing game, where now the manager of those other team has to guess, okay, their best player hasn't been in the dugout for 2 straight days now, maybe something's up. That's not a game. This is not a game that you can be playing right now. I understand, you don't want to give the other team any sort of advantage, so they have to prepare for, this player playing, and they don't. Okay, it's just less time that they take away from preparing for another player to play. You always want to keep the other team, you always want to keep the opponent guessing on their toes. But the coronavirus is not a virus or not something you can use or should use to have a competitive advantage on. So right now, if teams aren't forced to publicly disclose who's sick and who's not, to get really morbid here for a second, to get really, really cynical here for a second, do you truly believe that if players are tested, let's say before the game, they don't have to publicly disclose those results? Maybe they can rush a player back a little too early, or maybe even lie about the results, or maybe wait till after the big game to reveal, oh, this person is sick, but they just played in this game, had a big result, and we won the game. I mean, this is a 60-game season. This is a sprint more than a marathon. Every game means so much. So we're losing a player for 2 or 3 weeks because they're sick. I do wonder, and I do get concerned that if this is going to be something that's not publicly disclosed, if this information is going to be something that's basically going to be hush-hush under the rug, will some teams try to take advantage, not give truthful results, and therefore put jeopardize the entire league finishing? Because now if you don't know who's sick and who's not, it makes it that much harder to pinpoint the source, pinpoint the spreader, try to figure out if they spread it to other teams or not, and prevent the virus from spreading to other teams, which obviously would be the biggest reason why the league would shut down, just because it's rampant all around the league. The main goal for MLB for this season is just finishing. That's it. Doesn't matter who wins. Doesn't matter if you have an exciting year or a boring year. There's only one goal, is to finish this season. Play the postseason, get a World Series champion, crown them. Revealing test results, telling everyone and being on the same page with everyone, this person's positive, be heads up. This person's positive, everyone, if you came in contact, let's get tested. Let's try to figure out, let's isolate those who may have come in contact, may have had the virus without knowing it. To me, making these results public is the first step in that direction. Being transparent will help the league try their best to make sure everyone is healthy as much as possible, as much as you can be, and prevent an outbreak that would shut the league down. Not to mention, this is another reason. I mean, Brian Cashman said it himself. Baseball, you're going to know who has it and who doesn't pretty quickly. If there's a player, an everyday player, who all of a sudden for 3, 4, 5 games in a row is not on the field, not in the dugout, not with the team, and no explanation is given, it's just a vague, you just have a few things working out for him, we're going to find out. I mean, it's not that hard to put 2 and 2 together. Players out even with the team. Even injured players travel. Or if an injury happens, they pull a muscle, they hurt their arm, they hurt their shoulder, you see it happen in front of you. So sure, well, if you don't see an injury happen, all of a sudden now the player is not playing for 3, 4, 5 games, not even on the team, not even going to the stadium. It's not that hard to insinuate he probably has corona, or they're fearful that he has corona, waiting for test results. So it's not like, it's going to be that hard to figure out. It's like in the NFL where, you're playing once a week, so maybe you can get away with a player missing a game or two. You can say something else, and it's not all, not that big of a deal. You're going to find out pretty quickly because baseball, you play every day. So you're going to know pretty quickly who's playing, who's not. If someone's not there on the bench for a few days in a row, it's not that hard to say, that person's sick. And not to mention, third and finally here, sometimes, even with this pandemic, right? As we know, it's affected the entire world affected every region. But some regions have been hit harder than others, right? New York, Florida, Texas, California have been hit harder than, let's say, South Dakota or Montana or Idaho. Some areas, feel it worse than others. So if you don't really see it every day, if you hear about it, but it's happening, if you're living in Idaho or Montana, let's say, that's happened all the way in New York, we're fine out here. You're in Nebraska, California, that's so far away, we're safe out here. Sometimes it takes something coming to your back door for you to take the virus seriously. And whether, you're a big baseball fan living in Nebraska and your favorite player all of a sudden gets sick now, God forbid, it could help raise public awareness. Could really help for some people to crystallize that this virus is real. This is not something to be messed around with, and they should take it seriously. I know for me personally, I can give my own experience because this happened to me. The coronavirus started coming into the U.S. I did not take it seriously. I'll be completely honest. Thought, people, just don't be dumb, and you won't get it. It's not that big of a deal. And then you see it spreading pretty quickly. And for me, it honestly took me till Rudy Gobert got sick and the NBA shut down that night for me to actually take the virus seriously. Wow, this is something that, isn't a joke. This isn't something that we can just kind of roll our eyes at or brush off or, this won't come here. This won't affect me. So to be completely honest, it took until someone in sports and the sports league shut down for me personally to take the virus seriously back in March. Now, I hope everyone at this point, now that we're in July, sees how severe this is, and it's not a joke. But fortunately, there's some people out there that don't take it seriously. I just call it for what it is. So maybe by publicly divulging information that, this star player, Mike Trout, Pete Alonso, Aaron Judge, Mookie Betts, they have it. Maybe that's a wake-up call for some people to be like, wow, this is serious. Maybe it's time for me to wear a mask or stay 6 feet away or do more to make sure that I'm keeping myself and my family safe. That's why, to me, I think it's imperative and important that Major League Baseball and all these other sports that are trying to come back do publicly divulge who is sick and who is not. I understand HIPAA laws are the biggest reason preventing this. But I think in a situation where the coronavirus, we're in a pandemic, this specifically only applies to the coronavirus. Nothing else. No other health issues should be revealed. Just the coronavirus, and the coronavirus, only if you test positive for it. I really do think it should be made public. I think it helps the league be transparent. It prevents teams from trying to keep it hush-hush for a competitive advantage. And more importantly, doing so, keeping it hush-hush, to me, only hurts MLB's chances of getting a full season and not helps it. Which, at the end of the day, should be the only goal for Major League Baseball. Get the season done. Crown a champion. It's been ugly, as we know, to even get baseball back on the field, to even get to where we are, to where training camp starts tomorrow, summer camp starts tomorrow. Think about it. Players will be on the field tomorrow, hitting and going in batting practice, fielding ground balls, catching fly balls, throwing bullpens. For us to get where we are on July 3rd, from where we started when this virus started, it's been very ugly for baseball. The last thing they need now is to be reckless, is to have speculation kind of ruin the sport, and this cloud that we don't know who's sick and who's not be the reason that outbreaks happen in the sport and that unfortunately baseball can't finish and can't resume. So I'm curious to get, that I hope MLB does actually, and other sports, I should say, do make it public. We will see. I think it's for them, it's in their best interest to do so. But again, we will see as we go forward. I hope they're not secretive about it. To me, it makes the most sense and the best way for them to get the season all in and complete.